Hello, running commentary, and Chabad website, Facebook Live, all combined. Chayim Alevsky here for Chabad at the West Side, Chabad Family Program. So we're in a very special time. Parshas Vayakhel-Pikudei, double portion. This is my regular week. We run and exercise the mind, the body, and the spirit at the same time. And you're welcome to follow every week. Before and after Corona. I'm trying to practice social distancing, so it's just me in the water. There's no one else here, as you can tell. No one else in the reservoir in Central Park, just me. Okay, I'm really trying to be careful, and if I see someone, I'll try to stay far away. So obviously, just to mention the Corona issue, is that there's just so much, everybody's inundated with messages and talks and inspirations, and of course tragic news, and it's all coming together, in everyone's inbox. Just wanted to comment on it before I dive into my Torah, that one of the most obvious messages that we cannot skip is that God runs the world, and we thought we were in charge, or the little bit that we thought we were in, that we knew what was going on. We see now that we don't. And it's a good time, like Rabbi Friedman mentioned and pleaded and urged the world. It's a good time to reconnect to the values and the relationships that are important, that count all year round. Okay. And I think we're back. When I get phone calls in the middle of this thing, it just cuts off the line, but hopefully we'll do this fast. So, Vayakhel-Pikudei. Vayakhel means and he gathered, Pikudei means he counted. So one of the all-time lessons about this is that we're all in this together. Moshe gathered all the Jewish people, and that in the first parsha, it's a double portion. So the first portion talks about gathering, about everyone coming together, and the second portion talks about the details, so which demonstrates that we're all in this together as one. So, and of course now in the Corona season, if everybody does their role in quarantining themselves and not spreading it single-handedly in their own homes, we will all benefit. Okay, onto the parsha. The Rabbi talks about something that's very interesting, that is uncommon for the parsha, for the Torah. That is that in this week's Torah portion, you know that in the Torah, every word is exact, every word is so meticulously, divinely thought out, that there's not one extra letter, not one extra nuance. But in the building of the Mishkan, we find that the Torah repeats itself 4 times. 4 times. The instructions of the building of the Mishkan. And that is the question over here. The Rabbi explains. First time is in the parshas of Teruma and Tetzaveh, where God instructs Moshe all the details of how the Mishkan, how the tabernacle should be built. And it goes through graphic detail, every single measurement, literally measurements of every artifact and every keli, every vessel, the buildings, the walls, the menorah, the shulchan, the table, the menorah, and the altars, the mizbeach, and Teruma and Tetzaveh a few parshas ago. Then Moshe gathers the Jewish people and tells them about it. There, it would have been logical to say, and Moshe told the Jewish people everything that God told him. And that would have been enough. But no, the Torah goes ahead and describes in graphic detail all the details, again, a second time. Every single detail of how the Mishkan was built. And then, you would think that's enough. Then it goes on and it says that the Jewish people gathered the materials and they went ahead and built it. So you would imagine it would suffice to say in the Torah, and the Jewish people did just like God commanded Moses, and they built the Mishkan just like he said. But no, third time it goes ahead and it says all the details about the building of the Mishkan. Every single one of them. It repeats it the third time. And then, at the end, after it's all done, they do a calculation of all the monies in the county and the building that was. And you would imagine, for the fourth time, it would suffice to say, and the Jewish people did everything that Moshe said, everything that God commanded. But no, here again, the Torah describes in detail all the furnishings of the Mishkan, all the measurements, everything that was made and created and brought 4 times. What's going on? So the Rabbi explains, in short, that the Torah is called Torah's Chayim. It's the Torah of life. It's not a wisdom and a discipline or a cultural, beautiful experience or a way of thinking, philosophy. It's a Torah's Chayim. It's a way of life. And in contrast to other wisdoms in which the Rabbi actually referenced Germany in a time and a place when people lived in the highest forms of societal cultures. They were so cultured, they were artistic, and they preached humanitarianism in the most beautiful ways, as you can imagine. But then in the end, their actions were completely different. And the Rebbe says there have been people and nations who've preached one way but acted in another. But that's not the Torah's point. The point of the Torah is all about living it. And living it till it's ingrained in our blood, in our guts. And the Rebbe says, even if we fall through, like sometimes we all do, you just pick yourself up and move on. It's not about being perfect, but it's about assuming the life of the Torah in ourselves, in our veins. And so too, therefore, the Rebbe says, what the Torah is teaching us now in this week's these portions, where it repeated the building of the Mishkan 4 times in all the details. The Rebbe says, when do you repeat something? When do you talk about something? You talk about something when you're excited about it, when you're enthusiastic about it, when you're... And so too, the Rebbe says, it's a lesson for us. There's 4 stages in which we need to be excited and live and enthusiastic about everything we do that's Torah related. The first stage is when we learn something, when God said it to Moses, and paralleling the 4 stages that happened in the Torah about the building of the Mishkan, where God said it to Moses. Moses repeated to the people did it, then they calculated what they did. They reviewed. So the Rebbe says also, when we learn something in the Torah, you're as excited as we're supposed to be, as excited as we were at Mount Sinai, when the people were completely, trembling and sweating, etc., etc. That's number 1. Number 2 is when you share it with somebody else. Every parent has a obligation to teach it to your children. Every teacher has an obligation to share it with their students. And every person has an obligation to share it with whoever they can. When you teach it to your students, you need to be enthusiastic and excited in the teaching process. Third is when you do it. When we observe these commandments, when we observe the mitzvahs of the Torah, we don't just do it, we live it. And fourth, less common, I guess, is when you review and say, hey, did I really live up to my potential? But the Rabbi does say that this is a daily practice. At night, every night we're supposed to have a little bit of a Yom Kippur. It's a day of atonement, but it's also a day of collection of our thoughts of our year and recollection of how our year went, just like a birthday is. And every Rosh Chodesh is a mini Yom Kippur. We're supposed to calculate the month that passed. And every night is a mini Yom Kippur too, where we're supposed to calculate what we call a cheshbon hanefesh, calculation of the soul of how the day went. And that's the fourth stage, where even then we're supposed to go through not just say, okay, it was a good day, it was not such a good day. We're supposed to go through all the details and decide whether or not we lived up to our potential. That's the story for today. Everybody keep healthy, keep safe, stay healthy, heal whoever needs healing. God bless you, and we'll be in touch.